Welcome. Premier Boxing Champions presents the official weigh-in for our big night of action taking place tomorrow night at the T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view and is brought to you by TGB Promotions and MP Promotions. Well, we begin our official weigh-ins with our pay-per-view opening attraction, featherweights in the ring. We welcome our fighters now as they make their way to the stage. First, fighting out of Gilroy, California by way of Ibagué, Colombia. With 18 knockouts in his 26 wins, please welcome to the stage, Oscar El Guerrero Escandón. Warrior Oscar Escandón. And there they are, ladies and gentlemen, opens up our Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view and 10 rounds of boxing featherweight attraction. Undefeated Carlos Castro against the former Olympian Oscar Escandón. All right, fans, here we go. We're ready to bring up our next fight. Premier Boxing Champions continues with our weigh-ins for tomorrow night's event. 12 rounds of boxing in a championship attraction. First, we welcome to the stage the contender from Tlalnepantla, Mexico. 28 knockouts in his 37 fights, Julio Pollito Ceja. And his opponent up to the stage at this time, a great fighter from the Philippines, undefeated in his campaign, 22 wins, no losses, 15 knockouts, Mark Magnifico Magsayo. All right, fans, here we go. We're ready to bring up our fighters to the scale for this, the WBO International Featherweight Championship. Weight limit on this fight is 126 pounds. First to the scale is a former champion, the hard-hitting veteran contender from Mexico, Julio Pollito Ceja. 125 pounds even, a 125-pound ready weight for Julio Ceja. And now to the scale we invite the undefeated world-ranked featherweight contender from the Philippines, Mark Magnifico Magsayo. 125.5 pounds, 125.5 pounds for Mark Magsayo. We have a fight, 12 rounds for the WBO International Featherweight Championship. There they are, ladies and gentlemen. It's 12 rounds of action scheduled for the WBO International Featherweight Championship, Mark Magnifico Magsayo versus former champion Julio Pollito Ceja. All right, fans, here we go. Premier Boxing Champions presents the weigh-in for our co-main event of the evening, a special attraction in the welterweight division. First, we invite to the stage at this time, fighting out of Wildcard Boxing Gym by way of Kansas. 25 knockouts in his 32 victories. Here is the former welterweight champion of the world, Vicious Victor Ortiz. And his opponent to the stage at this time, from Gilroy, California, now fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. 20 knockouts in his 36 wins. Here's the former two-division champion of the world, Robert the Ghost Guerrero. And we're ready to bring our fighters to the scale. 10 rounds of boxing, welterweight special attraction, battle of former world champions. Making his return to the ring on the scale at this time, the former welterweight champion of the world, Vicious Victor Ortiz. 148 pounds, Victor Ortiz, 148. And his opponent to the scale at this time, the popular former two-division champion of the world, Robert the Ghost Guerrero. 146 3/4 pounds, 146 3/4 pounds for Robert Guerrero. There they are, a battle of former world champions in the welterweight division. Robert the Ghost Guerrero, Vicious Victor Ortiz. Well, fans, before we bring out our fighters for the main event, we take a closer look at Pacquiao versus Ugas for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World.
Ugas wants to finish off the champion.
Ugas is becoming defiant right now.
Yo llegué de Cuba, pensé a los 2 años convertirme en un campeón del mundo. Y los sueños son difíciles, hay que ser fuerte y resistir. Convertido en uno de los mejores pesos welter del mundo.
He's just the total package. They say world class. That's your Dennis Ugas.
Voy a y esa noche eso es lo que voy a defender.
Manny's not going anywhere. He wants to keep fighting.
Pacquiao's got every trick in the book. He's a legend. That's all there is to it.
Boxing is my passion. I love to be my inspiration and bring honor to my country like that.
This guy's a freak of nature.
I'm excited, happy to fight with him, but he's also a tough opponent. He managed well and he moved around.
He's a master of his craft.
I tell you, my dream is to erase those debate that who is the greatest fighter of all time.
Well, fans, Premier Boxing Champions presents the official weigh-in for our featured attraction of the evening, Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view, brought to you by TGB Promotions and MP Promotions, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, the Air Force Reserve, and Cop Shop in theaters September 17th. Now joining us to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, first we welcome the defending champion, fighting out of Miami by way of Cuba, the defending WBA welterweight champion of the world, 54 Milagros, Yordenis Ugas. And now here he is, boxing's only 8-division world champion, the boxing senator from Sarangani province in the Philippines, the one and only Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to bring our fighters to the scale at this time. 12 rounds of boxing. This is for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World. First, we invite the defending champion to the scale at this time, a 2008 Olympic bronze medalist. He will be making the first defense of his title. Here is the defending and reigning WBA Welterweight Champion of the World, 54 Milagros, Yordenis Ugas. It's the main event of the evening for tomorrow night's Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view. 12 rounds for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas.
Hate to interrupt this stare down, but we are going to go now to the WBA welterweight world champion, Yordenis Ugas. Felix De Jesus will translate for us. Yordenis, I saw you backstage before you came out here, and you were like stretching, almost warming up as if you were ready to hop in the ring already. Take me through this moment right now as you just stared off for the final time against a legend, Senator Manny Pacquiao.
¿Qué nos puede decir de este momento? Yordenis está con una leyenda que va a pelear. Ella te vio atrás, que ya estaba como preparado, estaba ya estirándote y todo eso. ¿Está preparado?
Sí, estoy listo, emocionado de pelear contra una leyenda, mucho respeto. Mañana se termina el respeto ese, pero sí estoy súper orgulloso y emocionado de compartir el ring con una leyenda.
No, definitely. Being in the ring with a legend like Manny Pacquiao, I have a lot of respect for him, so I'm very excited. But all respect is finished after we get on the ring tomorrow.
You know, we just heard the desk talking about weight. Obviously, you both weighed in here today, but what will you weigh on fight night?
El día de la pelea, ¿cuánto va a pesar?
No sé todavía. Y hablar del WBA, yo soy campeón weight del WBA. Mañana, el que gane mañana, el campeón se queda con el campeonato WBA. Estoy emocionado con esta oportunidad.
No, I'm definitely very emotional and very excited for this opportunity. And I have the belt. Whoever wins tomorrow gets the belt. But right now, I'm the champion, and I'm ready.
All right, let's head over to another man who looks ready, always ready, Manny Pacquiao. Manny, in terms of this fight, it's gone both ways. Some call this a high-risk, low-reward fight. Others think this style matches up perfectly for you. Which is it?
I never taking this fight lightly. Of course, I don't want to be overconfident for this fight, but I want to make sure that tomorrow night we have going to be the victory, and God willing, the fans will be happy.
You've said coming into this that it could be, and I emphasize could, your final fight. If that is the case, what do you want to show to the world tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, I will do my best. I will give my best to the fans, and of course for the honor of my country. And this fight will be dedicated to the Philippine people for their unwavering support and love and prayers.
Thank you very much. Best of luck to both fighters. For now, we'll send it back to Kate Abdo for more on this matchup. Kate?